What's up, gang? Today at the whiteboard, I am going to describe to you guys what exactly is quarterfinals. We have a few athletes from our gym doing it. So again, congrats to Luke, Eric, Ethan, Jasmine, Val, and myself, who all qualified for quarterfinals. So what does that mean? What is quarterfinals? And we'll talk a little bit about at the end about how you can train throughout this year to make quarterfinals in next year. So in short, quarterfinals is the next stage after the Open towards the CrossFit Games. So every CrossFit Games season starts with the Open. Anyone and everyone, so we'll make a little funnel here, can compete in the Open. You just have to sign up. So we've got the Open. And so that's what we just did here at Big Shoulders. We call it the Dallas Cup. It's 3 weeks. It's 1 workout per week, so it's 3 workouts. Fun community event. Movements are a little more accessible. Workouts involve, they're still difficult, but maybe a little less skill, because the goal of the Open now is just to filter people into quarterfinals. So the next stage is this quarterfinals, which the top 25% of athletes, so we're just going to abbreviate this to Q finals, so that's what the Q means. It's quarterfinals, but it's the top 25% of athletes from the Open moving on to quarterfinals. So there's a couple different divisions of this. There's the age group. So the Open division of the Open is ages 18 to 34 for men and women. There's teens age groups, so 14 and 15, and then 16, 17 are separate age groups. And then in intervals of 5 years, it's starting at 35 to 39, 40 to 44, so on and so forth. There are age group divisions. So the top 25% in each of those divisions in each region, because there are the whole globe is broken down into different regions. We've got North America East, North America West, South America, Oceania, Eurasia, I think, Africa, and then Europe. That's 7. There might be more. I'm off the top of my head, that's what we got. But anyways, the top 25%. The Open is an online event. Quarterfinals is an online event. So the athletes that qualified from here, from all the other gyms, they will be doing this at their boxes. It's just, again, meant to be more of a fun stage for some of the people who are a little more competitive with their fitness. So quarterfinals is still going to be, hopefully, this is kind of a new season, so hopefully it is still going to be still accessible workouts, but the weights might be a little bit heavier. There's going to be some more skill movements in it. We'll probably see things like handstand walks, rope climbs, handstand push-ups maybe, maybe single leg squats, pistols, GHD sit-ups. More of those types of movements built into the workouts. So little step up in challenge. After quarterfinals, top athletes from each of those regions I mentioned earlier get invited to semifinals. So we'll just abbreviate that to semis. And this is an in-person, semis are in-person. The top athletes from semis then go on to the games. And that's going to be in Fort Worth this year. Used to be in Madison. Before that, it was in Carson, California. And before that, it was in Romas, California at Dave Castro's ranch. That's where the games started at. So this is the funnel. And then we get, after the games, you've got the fittest man and woman on earth. So everyone can do the Open. The top 25% advance to quarterfinals. And then out of that, I think it's the top, it's anywhere from 40 or maybe even some areas it's 20 or 30. So let's say top 30 to some regions get 60 athletes in their semifinals. Those athletes go head-to-head in person, and then the numbers actually fluctuate based on, they have this whole system for how they determine how many people from each region go to the game. So it changes each year, but semis then qualifies people for the games. So that is the CrossFit Games season in a nutshell. And so again, the 6 of us who qualified for quarterfinals, what that means is we finished in the top 25% of either our age group or overall, okay? So that is that. So let's talk about what is required and what is needed to qualify for quarterfinals. So I'm gonna clear off the board here. So we have probably the lowest hanging fruit is just overall fitness, right? 24.1, the dumbbell was, you need to be strong to do it, but most people can lift a 50-pound dumbbell, and then most people can do those burpees. In order to qualify for quarterfinals, you needed to finish that workout at the very least, and probably finish somewhere in the 12-minute, maybe 13, 14-minute or less range. I haven't done any research on that. That is literally just off the top of my head what I'm thinking. So for me, my time was 10:11, and for that workout, I was in the 80th percentile. So that's where I'm kind of going like, yeah, probably around 12 minutes or less you needed to finish that. So that is just general engine fitness, okay? So we'll just put engine here. And in order to achieve this, you just need to show up, right? Making the committed club, showing to a variety of different workout styles. The one we did yesterday, that was just, interval training. That's a great way to build your engine. Making sure you're showing up on days where there's running, biking, rowing, things like that, those cardio movements, and then just trying to push your pace a little bit. That's gonna really help in terms of throughout time. You need to get faster, be able to do heavier weights. But yeah, being able to move light to moderate loads continuously, steadily, and that will allow you to kind of whatever gets thrown at you in the open, like if your engine is good, if you've got that solid base, that'll help. So the main way you as an athlete can build that is showing up. The more you can show up, the better. 16 to 20 classes a month would be a good starting point for that. Next one would be actually, and I think this is the lowest hanging fruit of the skills, would be double unders. So in 24.2, that workout was largely dictated by how good you were at double unders. If you were proficient at those, the rowing pace, that wasn't going to slow you down too much, again, assuming you have a decent engine. And then the deadlift weight, once again, it was only 10 reps per round. It wasn't excessively heavy, so again, that kind of ties back to the engine. Like, yes, having that strength to move that barbell certainly mattered, but in terms of trying to qualify for quarterfinals, it really came down to your proficiency with double unders. So if you do not have double unders, this is something that you can practice almost every day until you get them. It's just a matter of practicing the proper wrist rotation, making sure you can jump properly, right? That's the starting point, is being able to jump. I'll probably make a separate video just on double unders to dive in on that, but if you do not have proficient double unders, and I would say 50 to 100 unbroken, you should be working at this. It's also going to help your engine a little bit. It's going to help with your conditioning. So getting 50 to 100 unbroken double unders, I think, would be a good benchmark to aim for, to get as soon as possible, because we want to be able to do that in workouts. So the sooner you can get to that, the better. So if you don't have that, start working with your jump rope every day after class, every time you come here, until you are able to do that. Then we've got 24.3, some of those higher level skills. So still engine, everything was important for that, but we had chest to bar pull-ups, and then bar muscle ups. And then we finally had a little bit heavier weight on thrusters. So we'll just summarize that. That says WL. That's poorly written, but that says WL, weightlifting. So chest to bar pull-ups, bar muscle-ups, these are gymnastics movements. So having proficiency in gymnastics, summarize that to gym. Your ability to move your own body weight. And for these movements, one of the things I see people doing once they get a skill, whether it's pull-ups, chest to bar pull-ups, bar muscle-ups, is they stop doing the scalings and the modifications that help them get that movement in the first place. Keep going with those. So if you're wanting to get bigger sets of bar muscle-ups or chest to bar, instead of just trying to do singles on a more regular basis, keep using a band and see how, can you get 10 in a row, 15 in a row, 20 in a row? Build that volume and fatigue and stamina, or I should say build that volume under fatigue and that stamina under fatigue with a band so that you can then start doing that without the band. So bigger sets, using a band, using scalings, continuing to do those progressions and modifications to allow you to do bigger sets of these rather than just one at a time, because your ability to get through these types of movements and not have them stop you in your tracks is an absolute requirement for advancing on to that next level. And then weightlifting. Again, this is kind of like the engine one where you just got to show up. We have our competitor program that does integrate more strength stuff. Every Monday we post the Work Your Weakness extra pieces. Those are usually integrated into the competitors' programming throughout the week. So if you feel like weightlifting, if the main issue for you was the heavy thruster weight or even just the normal thruster weight, the 95 pounds or 65 for women, then yeah, we need to get you stronger. You need to make sure you're showing up on strength days, getting in here more often, maybe in the workout starting to try and use a little bit heavier weight, but also keep using the lighter weight and trying to do bigger sets, because that is going to help you get stronger too. It's going to help you learn how to lift under fatigue. So in terms of what this year's Open were, now the problem is we don't know what next year's Open is going to be, and we won't know until they release it each week. So if you were to just focus on these movements, yes, that would help you, but there's no guarantee that we're going to see chest to bars or bar muscle-ups next year. There's not even a guarantee that we're going to see thrusters next year or double unders. While there's a very good probability, because those are a high frequency movement, all of these are high frequency movements in the Opens, we could see barbell snatches, barbell clean and jerks, toes to bar, really any movement at all that you do on a regular basis in a CrossFit gym is an option in quarterfinals. So main piece would be showing up, doing the work, not avoiding your weaknesses. Whatever you're worst at, make sure you're showing up for that. So if you're strong, you feel like you're good with the weights, you need to work on your gymnastic stuff. If you're really good with your body weight stuff, you need to work on your weightlifting. If you hate running and you don't like cardio days, you need to work on that. And that's because, and we're going to erase this here, there is something in CrossFit called the theoretical hierarchy of development of an athlete. And that goes with, it starts at the top with sport. So this is the smallest one. Man, I need to learn how to, geometry is not my suit there. That is not a very pretty triangle. Anyways, sport. The next one is weightlifting and throwing. Below that is gymnastics. Below that is Metcon. Can't see these, but you will in a second. And below that is nutrition. So, again, thinking in terms of building towards quarterfinals for next year, every layer, so sport would be, ideally it's learn and play new sports, and we're talking basketball, baseball, softball, like those sorts of things, swimming. Yeah, it's not necessarily just the sport of CrossFit or the sport of fitness. It's any and all sports, but this is like the expression of everything, because what this hierarchy shows us is each of these things is built upon the levels below it. So if your nutrition is not on point, if you're not paying attention to what you're eating at all, if you don't know about how many calories you're getting a day, if you don't know how many grams of protein you're having a day, tracking, measuring, those sorts of things, everything above it is going to suffer. So focusing on your nutrition is absolutely vital for building fitness and improving everything that you want to do in the gym, all right? After nutrition, the next most important piece is your Metcon. So that's your conditioning. I was talking about engine, I use that term. So this is your ability to, run, row, bike, hold a steady pace for a prolonged period. That is the next layer. So if you suck at that, if that's something you struggle with, then that needs to be your focus. And again, that only needs to be your focus if you're already dialing in your nutrition. Now, you can work on two things at once, but I would say nutrition would be your priority if you're not doing that currently. After Metcon would be gymnastics. If you think, well, my weightlifting isn't very good, but I also don't have, I can't string together chest to bars or toes to bar, anything like that. Well, ask yourself, how good is my pacing? How good is my conditioning? And then, all right, I need to focus on my gymnastics. Learning to control your body weight and getting stronger with your gymnastics is going to help with your weightlifting. And then finally, that last one is that weightlifting. Now, the beauty of CrossFit is by coming to classes and showing up on a regular basis, making it into our committed clubs, so on and so forth, you're going to end up working all of these things up and down. But remember, the base of it is nutrition. If you avoid conditioning days, your gymnastics and your weightlifting are going to suffer. If you are avoiding gymnastics days, your weightlifting is going to suffer from that. And if you're avoiding heavy days, then your ability to perform in sports and whatever else is going to suffer. So everything is built on top of the layer below it. So focus on that nutrition. Make sure you're coming on conditioning days. Make sure you're working on those gymnastics. If we're not spending time in class on the thing you feel like you want to work on, fine. Do a little bit of extra stuff after class. Same thing with weightlifting. Like I was saying, if you want to start following some of the competitor pieces, absolutely work that in before or after your classes, all right? So that is a not so short, I don't know how long this has been going for, but little brief-ish video on what quarterfinals is, what you can do to work on that for next year, and a sort of template or formula for how to approach that. So I would say most people, nutrition. That needs to be your number one focus. If you dial in your nutrition for the rest of the year and you come to classes and really show up and put in the work, all this stuff will get a lot better. You'll be surprised. If you don't do this, yeah, you'll probably still get better at these things, but it'll be limited, okay? So good luck, guys. Good luck to everyone doing quarterfinals this year, and I hope we have a lot more people doing quarterfinals next year.